Hey everybody, welcome back to Mike's Wooden Things and Stuff. And today we are going to make a dog feeder for I don't even have a dog. And we're gonna make a raised dog feeder bowl holder contraption to make Marc Spagnuolo give more money to cancer researchers. If you don't know, Marc Spagnuolo is the Wood Whisperer. He does a campaign every year to raise money for cancer research. And if you build the thing that he is building, that he built, and you send him a picture of you doing it, or you post a video of you doing it, he gives more money to cancer research. So get out of here. Seriously, I'm doing stuff. Every time I move to a less trafficked area. No, I don't. Anyway, we're gonna make a raised dog feeder thing today. It's essentially the same design as the sofa table I just made and the fire pit benches that I made, except it's got a couple of bowls in it. So let's get on it. Make some money for cancer research. Thanks, Marc. All right, let's go. So I actually started this one with the cutoffs from the legs of the sofa table because they're already square stock. So why not use them for the square stock that I need for the legs for this? I went up and found a piece of 1x12 pine in the stash that I thought might work for the top and the aprons, and it ended up doing exactly that. So I put the bowls down on it and measured out what it looked like should be about a top based on the size of those bowls. I got it cross-cut to length, approximate length anyway, and then I got it ripped to length, approximate length anyway, width, what? I don't know, you get it. And then I cut the apron bits out of the rest of the piece of 1x12, and essentially I've got myself all of the parts that I need for the project. Then I can set the bowls into the setup here and get my measurements that look like how it's going to go together, and I can measure the aprons directly off that, get them cross-cut, and then I can start in on joinery, which once again I'm using floating mortise and tenon joinery that I do with a router. Cut the mortises in both parts, and then I cut tenon stock out of quarter-inch hobby wood that I get from big box store. So then we go ahead and cut the little sweeping curve into the bottom of the apron parts, because that's basically what I do with everything when it has an apron. It seems, anyway. I like this look. I think it adds a little bit of elegance and grace to the piece. Then I can fair that curve with the oscillating belt sander until it's nice and smooth and graceful. Doesn't have any lumpies. And I can trace that onto the other piece, cut that out, same way, take it back to the sander, etc., etc. There's tenon stock for the aprons to the legs joinery. Those are only about 3/4 of an inch long, because I didn't think the joinery needed to be heavy duty on a dog feeder. Then you got to round the tenons, obviously, because routers leave round holes on the end, round ends on the hole, whatever. Yeah. Then I got to make a trammel arm to cut the circles out of the top for the dog bowls. And I started by marking the holes of the base where the screws go and attach to the router, and then I recessed the counter board for the heads of the screws using, I think, a 3/8 inch bit, and then I could cut a through hole through that the screw will go through, and a giant, well, not a giant hole, a bigger hole for the router bit to go through. Then you attach it to the base of the router, and then you mark off from the center of the bit the radius of the hole you want to cut, and then you drill a spot for the dowel to go in, and then you swipe your finger across your router bit and gash it all to hell, and then you go get that taped up and get back to work. A couple of test holes, and then you can relocate the locator peg based on the test bits that I did in MDF, and then I can drill the center points of the holes in the actual workpiece that you're going to be drilling or cutting the circles out of, The locator pin goes in that hole, and then you just kind of let the trammel arm do its thing, and it cuts a perfect circle. You don't have to cut all the way through, because what we're going to end up doing is cutting the rest of that waste out of the middle with a jigsaw, and then flush trimming to that initial router cut that I made with the 1/4 inch upcut bit. So we'll drill ourselves a spot for the saw blade of the jigsaw to go into, and then we just, hopefully without touching that outside edge, because that outside edge is the reference surface for the bearing on the flush trim bit, we get rid of all that excess inside stuff, and then put the flush trim bit on the router and go around. And then we got a nice, clean, crisp, circular bowl for a dog bowl. And then I can use my setup block that was my test piece for the sofa table build, actually, that I'm going to try and keep around, because it would be a good setup block for these little S clips. Is that what they're called? I still don't know what they're called. The tabletop attachment clip things that allow for expansion and contraction. I think they may be called S clips. I still don't know. And then I can run all my pieces through to give my little slot there for the clips. Bevel the top of the thing, because I like me a beveled top. Apparently, most of my stuff has beveled tops. I just think it looks nice. And then sand all the pieces up to, I want to say I only went to 150 probably on this one. I don't think my buddy's dog is going to mind that his dog feeder thing isn't sanded up to 240. In fact, you know what? I'll ask her in a couple months. I'll be like, hey, have you noticed that I didn't sand that very smooth? And she'll just look at me. So, yeah, then get it all glued up. Use West Systems epoxy again to give myself lots of time to get it put together. And I obviously didn't need lots of time, because I'm really fast at gluing, obviously. And then just final sanding with 150 on a hand sanding block, just to get all the little fingerprints and smudges, and do a final smoothing before I can apply my Howard's. Again, Howard's feed and wax, oil wax combo, because I want my buddy to be able to sort of refresh that finish down the line. I'm going to give him a little container of the stuff for whenever it gets, well, for whenever it needs it, or never if he doesn't feel like it. Then I can attach the little clips, and I got ourselves a raised dog feeder bowl holder contraption thing. All right, turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with it, actually. Thanks.
All right, there we go. Elevated dog bowl holder platform box contraption thing. That's the official name of it. I don't know what Mark called it. I think it's just an elevated dog bowl, but I didn't make the dog bowl itself. I just made the thing that holds the dog bowl off the floor. But anyway, thanks to Marc Spagnuolo and Nicole and that whole get up over there at the Wood Whisperer for putting on the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer. If you feel like going and tossing a couple of bucks to some cancer researchers because you watched this video, that'd be great. Anyway, bye for now. We'll see you next time when I'm building something else for probably not as good a reason. All right. Dog bowl. Elevated dog bowl holder contraption thing. Boo, cancer.